Good evening, folks. This evening's topic D is title is The Future Arrives Before the System is Ready. Okay, I did a little narrative for you tonight for D. So give me a minute, please. Okay, part one, the fracture. Chapter one, Tuesday morning. The first sign that something was wrong came on a Tuesday in early spring, the kind of morning that still smelled uh, faintly, faintly of winter. The light through the kitchen window was thin and gray, and the house was quiet in a way that felt wrong. Mateo, 18 months old, usually woke with the force of a sunrise, bab- babbling, kicking, demanding bananas with the urgency of a tiny munch. But that morning, he lay still in his crib, his breath shallow, his eyes unfocused. Anna lifted him, expecting the warm weight of a toddler who would cling to her shoulder. Instead, his body felt heavy in a way she couldn't name. Not limp, something else. Something like absence. Lewis stood in the doorway, keys in hand, already knowing they would not be going to work. He watched Anna's face as she rocked their son, and he saw the moment her expression shifted from confusion to fear. Call Dr. Patel, she said, her voice thin. Lewis didn't argue. He dialed with shaking hands. Chapter 2, the exam room. The pediatrician's office smelled of disinfectant and crayons. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a casting a surreal glow on the posters of cartoon uh, organs smiling down from the walls. Dr. Patel frowned as she tested Mateo's reflexes. She taped his knee. Nothing, she said. Or she pushed a finger along the sole of his foot. No curl of toes. She lifted his arms. They fell back to his sides like sandbags. Anna felt her throat tighten. Lewis felt something inside him harden into resolve. We need imaging, Dr. Patel said softly. Today, the MRI suite was cold. The machine, a, a white tunnel that looked like it belonged in a different universe. Anna held Mateo's hand until the nurse gently pulled her away. Lewis stood behind her, his hand on the back of her back, steadying her. Even he felt himself unravel. When the neurologist entered the consultation room, he carried a folder and a kind of careful stillness that parents learn to dread. He explained the mutation, the prognosis, the narrow options. Then he said something unexpected. There is a therapy being developed. It's experimental, it's new, it's possible. The room titled, tiled. Hope entered like a draft under the door, cold, sharp, and destabilizing. Chapter 3, the descent into research. All night, after Mateo fell asleep, Anna sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open, the glow illuminating her face. She read scientific papers she didn't fully understand, highlighting phrases like loss of function and pathogenic variant. She joined online forums where parents spoke in a language that was half medical jargon, half prayer. Lewis built spreadsheets, specialist hospitals, wait lists, distances, costs. He called insurance. He called again. He learned the names of people he would never meet. Case managers, utilization reviewers, supervisors. They became bilingual in the language of desperation and determination. Their world shrank to the size of a molten mutation. Chapter 4, the breakthrough. A research team confirmed that Mateo's mutation was a candidate for bespoken gene editing therapy. The therapy could be designed in months. The delivery mechanism already exists. The science was breathtaking, but the system began to wobble. The insurer had no category for this therapy. The hospital had no workflow. The state Medicaid office had no precedent. The specialty pharmacy had no storage protocol. The EHR had no field for experimental gene editor. The breakthrough was elegant. The infrastructure was not. Anna felt the contradiction like a physical ache. The therapy exists, but the path to it was a maze with no map. Chapter 5: The Waiting Season. This was the long middle, the part families rarely talk about because it is too exhausting to relive. Weeks stretched into months. Paperwork became a second job. Phone calls became a ritual of hope and disappointment. Anna kept a notebook of every conversation, dates, names, reference numbers. Lewis kept a folder of every denial letter. They learned to measure time not in days but in callbacks, not in weeks but in appeals. Mateo's symptoms fluctuated. Some days he laughed and chased bubbles. Other days he lay limp in his arms, his breath shallow, his eyes distant. The therapy existed. The child qualified. The science was ready, but the system was not. Chapter 6: Geography of Hope. The nearest treatment center was 312 miles away. They drove past cornfields, truck stops, and the long, quiet stretches of rural Pennsylvania. They stayed in a motel with thin walls and a broken ice machine. They ate takeout on the bed because there was no table. The therapy was a miracle. The journey to reach it was not. Anna watched Mateo sleep in the motel crib, his chest rising and falling in the dim light. She whispered to him in Spanish words her mother used to say when she was sick. Estoy no es no esto solo. I'm here. You are not alone. Lewis sat in the small desk filling out yet another form, his handwriting tight and controlled. They were doing everything right. The system was doing nothing fast. The chapter 7, the infusion room. The infusion room was quiet, except for the hum of the pump. Mateo slept, and in his arms, his eyelashes fluttering, Lewis watched the monitor. His hands clasped so tightly, his knuckles whitened. The gene editing therapy, designed specifically for him, dripped into his bloodstream with calm inevitability of a sunrise. This was the moment where science diversed. It was what it promised. But even here, the system extruded a billing code that didn't exist, a reimbursement pathway that hadn't been created. A follow-up protocol that had to be invented on the spot. The future had arrived. The system was still catching up. Chapter 8, the aftermath. Months later, Mateo was stronger. He laughed more. He climbed into the couch by himself. The therapy worked, but Anna and Lewis carried the memory of the system's fragility, the delays, the denials, the distance, the uncertainty. They knew the science saved their son. They also knew the system almost failed him. They became advocates not by choice but by necessity. They spoke at conferences. They met with legislators. They told their story again and again, hoping the next family would not have to fight so hard. Chapter 9, the letter to the next decade. In the epilogue, Anna writes a letter, not to policymakers, not to scientists, but to the next family who will sit in the exam room and hear the word mutation. She writes, the science will be ready for you. Make sure the system is too. Okay, guys, those are your shows for the night. I will see everybody Monday for shows, if not Saturday. So, with that being said, Gator Wellness, have a good night, folks.